Here's Brody Brazil.
What's the city I've loved traveling to the most? It's funny you mentioned that, Dominic, and asked that. I was talking to somebody earlier tonight about this, and I kind of listed a few favorites. We're actually starting first on the places we don't like to go. I'll leave that list for a different time. But for me, Vancouver, Chicago, if I had to do a top three, I think Denver's up there. Denver's okay. San Diego's very nice. I'd have to really consider who that third city is. I guess New York. You know, to be quite honest with you, visiting New York is always a treat. And I'm not saying that I would want to live out there necessarily full time, although nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's just not for me. So what did I say? Vancouver, Chicago, New York. And actually, if you do it like that, you got West Coast, you got Midwest, and you got East Coast. Perfect. Touched them all there. Vancouver, for obvious reasons, just very beautiful, very underrated. I feel like people on the West Coast don't talk enough about Vancouver. You know, you want to come out west, you visit Seattle or Portland or, you know, everything's stateside. And Van is just beautiful. That inner harbor, the seaplanes landing all the time. There's tons to do. It's a very eclectic city. Vancouver is, it's way up there. And then I think Chicago kind of sneaks up on you. You know, if you didn't know what to expect. Now, I've also got high grades for Pittsburgh. Definitely enjoyed my time out there. What else? What other city was I going to say? I think Detroit is very underrated and has changed and, you know, improved and in a lot of ways, you know, for, like I said, for a work trip, that's what we're talking about here. It has definitely evolved in recent years. But I think if you're doing the map here, New York for obvious reasons, right? And the places you typically stay on a work trip, they're prime locations, walking distance to everything. Sightseeing's awesome. And I think with Chicago, it's one of the major, you know, probably top 5 major cities in the United States. What else is there? Like Miami, Houston, Chicago, to go along with Los Angeles and New York, right? As like the big, you know, top 5 cities or so. But Chicago is always, that's been a favorite of mine for a long time. And there's lots to do. And it is too, obviously beautiful there on the waterfront of Lake Michigan. You could take one of those river cruises. Yeah, Chicago is definitely underrated. I mean, it's just, it's one of my top 3.